Okay, so the previous session we discussed about what are sub-reports and different types of sub-reports that we have in Crystal. And we have seen what is the user workbench as well. So let's see what is a cross-tab report. So standard report is just a report wizard wherein it's going to prompt us step-by-step options. We can choose those options and it generates the report within seconds. A blank report is wherein we can just make a connection and then we need to build our own report from scratch. And then we have cross-tab report. So cross-tab report, you just need, as soon as you select that wizard, you need to select the connection, what are all the tables that you want. As soon as you add the tables and define relationship between the tables, and when you click on next, it opens a cross-tab wizard. In this cross-tab wizard, you have columns, rows, and summary fields. So you can place what are all rows and columns that you want. For example, here I have order date. I'll add date as a column. So remember, crosstab always groups the data on both columns and rows. So it's going to apply group by on both column and row. So now as soon as you add a date, you'll get an option. How do you want to group by this date for each day, week? So you can choose any option that you want. Here I'll go for week. And then country and common summary field as order amount. So by default the aggregate function is sum here. Fine now. Okay. So if you want to change the summary function, you can always change the summary functions. And I'm going to click on next. So here, once you add all the fields that are required in your crosstab, again, if you want to insert any chart, you can insert. So I don't want to insert any chart here. Click on next. If you want to apply any filter condition on your report, you can do that. But here I don't want. Next. Now, the templates. How do you want to display the crosstab? So here you have predefined templates. So I'll apply this. Finish. So this is your crosstab. So this is the crosstab which is showing all the country-wise order amounts based on a year, each and every year. This is a grand total and this is a row total. A simple cross tab that you can build by choosing all these options, and this is how it inserts a cross tab. And remember, since cross tab deals with summarized data, you can insert a cross tab in report header or report footer, but you cannot insert in detail section. So we can't insert a cross tab in detail section because cross tab always deals with summarized data. If you have any group header, group footer, yes, you can insert in group header or group footer, but you cannot insert a cross tab in detail section. So this is how we can build our cross tab. So instead of using wizard, you can also do this by simply inserting cross tab. Place it on your report header. Right click on this cross tab, go to cross tab expert, and here you can start adding what are all that you want. Under group options, I want for each year, and then the order amount. Click on OK. So this is how we can build a cross tab when creating a blank report as well without using any wizard. So now here you have row grand totals and column grand totals left hand side corner, but wherein it's something like an Excel pivot table. So wherein just a cross tab wherein you can choose and it's going to generate an output like this in cross tab, which is going to apply group by on both rows and columns. And it's going to show you the common measure which is common to both row and column. I have not taken any Excel fact table. I have used the same extreme sample database that we are using. Okay. So now here, so I don't want these totals at the left hand side corner, I want it at the end, and even the row totals I want it at the end. So then if you want to change any formatting of your cross tab, so right click on that, go to cross tab expert. So here under customize style you have an option to change, wherein you can change the background colors and column totals on top. I don't want this. Row totals on left, uncheck it. If you uncheck these two, so all the totals goes towards right hand side corner and you have a row total at the end. Here it is. So cross tab is just a template wherein we are adding all the rows and columns. So not only one group, you can also have subgroups. For example, you have order date group by year, right? And I can also add one more order date, and here under group options I can choose quarter. And for this country I can also add one more subgroup, which is region. This is how it shows. In 2003 you have only 2 quarters. 2004 you have 1, 2, 3, 4 quarters. So it got subdivided into quarterly information, and even the country it shows subgroups, what are all regions under that, and the order amount. So since cross tab expands both horizontally and vertically, which is dynamic, so if it expands more than one page, it creates virtual pages like this. See here, the line whatever it shows here, that is the end of your width, whatever that you have provided in your report. but if it exceeds, then it creates virtual pages. So this is going to be next page when you print the report. It's going to print this part, whatever that you have, in the next page, the second page. So like that, it can expand both horizontally and vertically. If it expands vertically, number of pages that got generated here changes. See, second page, third page. But horizontal, it's not going to change any page. Here itself, it's going to horizontally expand. So that's why you have an option in an object to repeat horizontal that we discussed in the first class. Field Explorer. See horizontal page numbers. Place this horizontal page number. See the preview. See here. You can also number the horizontal virtual pages, whatever it got generated, when you have a cross tab in your report. So that is how a cross tab is going to work in Crystal reports, and you have additional features, more advanced features in a cross tab. And if you want to change the grid lines, if you don't want any grid lines, go to format grid lines and uncheck the option show grid lines and click on OK. See the preview. It doesn't show any grid lines. And you can export this content to any third-party tools, wherein here at the top you have an export button. As soon as you click on export, it opens a wizard wherein these are all the different export formats. The same content you can export to third-party tools. You can export to HTML, Crystal reports, MS Access, Excel, Word, PDF, any format, CSV, GTX, text, XML. So these are all supported formats. You have more than what you have in Web Intelligence. So Crystal Report supports more export formats. So the content, whatever that you generate, you can export it to third-party tools, and these export options are useful when you schedule a report. You can export it to Excel sheet or a PDF file, and you can attach that and send it to a third-party email IDs when you schedule your report. Because not all customers are going to have Crystal reports installed on their machine, right? So if they don't have it, if you send an RPT file, they won't be able to open it until unless they have Crystal Report Designer installed on it. So that's why we export that to a third-party file. Like, so most of the people have Excel, MS Office installed on their machine. So they'll send that format in a PDF or an Excel. So that is about crosstab. Now let's see what are all the options that we have in a crosstab. I'm going to remove these two. So this is my data. Now, so what I want is, I want to generate a custom column in between that shows the difference between 2005 year and 2004. So how can I generate that? Let's see. So first of all, so 2005 minus 2004, right? So select the header column 2005 and right click, and here you have an option called calculated member. So I want to select this column, so select it as a first value. Otherwise, okay. And then again right click on 2004 and go to calculated member. Then it shows the first selected value with a 2004 selected value as a sum, difference, product or coefficient. So it already copied 2005 column into a clipboard, and now whenever you right click on 2004 and select calculated member, there it shows what are all the new column value that you can insert in your cross tab. So since I want to insert after 2005, I'll select first value as 2004. Now again, I'll right click on 2005, go to calculated member, and I want the difference between 2005 and 2004. Select this. It inserts the new column that shows the difference between these two columns. And the column name is difference. And this is the calculated column that you have inserted in your cross tab. So like that you can insert your own columns and whatever the calculations that you want to do, you can do it in a cross tab. So this is more advanced feature that they have introduced recently in cross tab, wherein you can insert a calculated column or a calculated row, and you will be able to show the output in your cross tab. Any questions? And if you want to see the formula, what it has generated, right click. Here you have edit calculation formula, and this is the formula what it has written automatically to get the difference between those two columns. So here it is more specific. If you observe this formula, so it is more specific in selecting a column which is 2004 column, and this is 2005 column. So if you don't want to specify or hard code a column name, then in this place you can mention the index of your column, like 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. So for example, the index of the current column becomes 1. If you select -1, it's going to take the value what you have in 2005. If you take +1, it's going to take whatever that you have towards right hand side. Like that you can add a reference so that it's not going to choose always 2005. Whatever the column that you have before this column, which is a difference column, it's going to pick that value. But here we are specifying which year data that we need to get for calculating the difference. So we need not worry about this formula, whatever that it has written, but if you want to modify anything, you can do it to grab the value and do the calculation. So that is about a cross tab wherein you can insert your own formulas as a row or a column, which is a new option that they have introduced from Crystal Report 2008 onwards. And apart from that, remaining everything the same. So we have one sample report which shows the cross tab. Let me open that sample report. Open from Enterprise. Report samples. Calculated member. So if you observe here in this report, so we have a cross tab which is showing country sales information, and what he has done is, So he want a new row that shows North America totals, and he want to include all this Canada, USA, Mexico together, and he named it as North America, and he did a sum of all those three countries information. Now it shows a subtotal, which is North America total, and again Europe total. So these two are calculated members in this cross tab, and if you want to see the formula of what he has written, edit calculation formula, so this is what he has written. So he mentioned that what country values that he need to capture, and he just summed up. That's it. So if you want any other column row information, just copy this formula, and in the place of Mexico, replace with Germany. It's going to pick up Germany information. So apart from inserting calculated members, you can also generate a report on top of this data. So that's what it is showing here. Here he has highlighted that information, North America and Europe, which is not available in a backend database table, but these are all calculated numbers. So how do we insert this type of a report? Simply by right clicking on this cross tab, you have an option of insert chart. As soon as you choose insert chart, it converts the cross tab to a chart. Whatever the information that you have in your cross tab will be pulled into that chart, and that's going to display this information. And here you have the cross tab. On this data you can insert a chart. So here if you observe, you also have, along with the country-wise sales information, North America and Europe. So these two columns are not available in a table, but they are all calculated numbers. That's how you can create cross-tab reports in Crystal. Any questions? No questions? Clear? Okay. So unlike web intelligence, remember Crystal Reports has a lot of scripting language. If you are familiar with VB coding or C#, will be able to do lot of manipulations at Crystal Report level. So you have lot of options, lot of formatting options, and lot of calculations. Everything you have huge in Crystal because you are dealing with detail level data, not summarized data. So something like a store procedure in a database which reads each and every row of your data cursor. So same thing happens in Crystal Reports. In detail section, it reads more granular level data, which is each and every row of your table, and you can do your manipulations whenever you want to read that content at Crystal Report level. So that's why you have these many options while generating Crystal Reports, because it deals with granular level data. It's not something like while generating a query, it just grabs it applies group by and it shows the only summarized level data. No. Doesn't have any microcube in the backend. So it's going to show you a detail level data, which is more granular level data. And you need to sum up at runtime at Crystal Report level to show the output like how you want. So that is about across tab reports in Crystal, wherein you can either insert this cross tab in report header or a group header, but not in detail section. So in detail section we cannot insert cross tab, and we cannot insert charts also, because even the charts also going to show you summarized level data, not detail level data. So you cannot insert them. Even if you try to insert a cross tab here, you try to move this cross tab to detail section, it doesn't allow me to move. But here, you can place it. So that is about cross tabs and how we create calculated columns in between. And what else that we have? We have one more type of a report, which is mailing label report. So this mailing label report, so we generate this type of reports for creating mailing labels. So what are mailing labels? So usually you'll observe whenever you get any parcel or a courier, so you're going to see the address not in a written format, it is in a printed format, wherein they have some labels. They have printed the address on top of those labels and they'll just stick it on top of your parcel. So those labels they'll generate using different reporting tools. One of them is Crystal, and while printing it, they'll print it on these stickers. So while creating mailing labels, so what information that we need? For example, I want to create mailing labels on customer information. I want all the customer address information. So I'll add a customer table, and what are all the fields that I want to display? So let's say just click on finish. Now this is a blank report. I'm going to generate a mailing label here. So first I need customer name. Drag and drop it. Now the next information I want below this, so maybe you can expand your detail section, or otherwise insert another duplicate detail section, insert section below, and try to add one more after customer name, address 1, again insert section below. The next information is address 2, and then city, and then if you want any zip code or a postal code, you can add that as well. Want to place it one beside the other, you can. Now if you see the preview, so this is how it shows mailing labels. So now here, while generating the mailing labels, you have each and every customer information set of rows, and I want to print this on top of stickers, like A4 size stickers that they have some labels, predefined size and width. So based on that, you need to follow that size and width here, how much height that you need to maintain and how much width that you need to maintain for each and every customer information. Now here, we are unnecessarily wasting the space, whatever that we have here right hand side, wherein in each page you have a single column customer information label and a lot of space left blank here, more than 70%. So in order to make use of this, we need to convert this report into mailing labels. So how we can convert? So one is through wizard, another one is through blank report, wherein we can change the format like how we want. So let's see the wizard, how it generates the mailing label. I'm going to create new mailing label report. So wizard type, remember always, wizard is useful to generate reports quicker, simple reports quicker. But in real time, we create a blank report and we design our report ourselves like how we want. So this is customer table, and in this wizard, I'm going to add customer name, address 1, address 2, city and postal code. Next. So this, as soon as you click on next, it shows what are all the mailing label types that you want. So you have different page sizes. In each and every size, you are going to have how many labels that it can fit in a single page, and what is the width of that label and height of the label that it is going to maintain. And apart from that, how is it going to print? Is it down then across or across then down? Down then across in the sense in a single page it starts printing customer information one below the other, and once it comes to the end of the page it prints in the next column of the same page. So that is called down then across. Across then down means it's going to print first label here and the next label just beside that and just beside that. So like that it's going to print. So here by choosing these options and this mailing label type setup, you will be able to print around 20 different labels per page with 4 columns. And if you choose any other format, it's going to have their own width and height, and based on that maybe 3 labels, so maybe 15 or so. So now I'm going to choose this option which should show me 20 labels per page and 4 columns, and click on next. And if you want to apply any filter condition, you can apply and click on finish. Now it generates the report like this. So now if you observe the design, this is how it is showing. So with this page it is splitting and it's showing all the 4 different labels, wherein it is showing address 1 and city information beside that, not below that. So if you want to rearrange them, yes, you can again insert new column and you can move this address information below that and you'll be able to see the information. The same report we can also generate manually. So this is what we have generated, right, which is showing only 1 column. And if you want to show it in the next column, then right click on your detail section and go to section expert. Here under details you have an option called format with multiple columns. Enable this. As soon as you enable this, you will see a new tab called layout. Under this layout you need to mention the size, the width and the height, what you want to maintain. So I want to have a width of 1 inch. Let's make it as 2 inches and click on OK. See, it's going to maintain 2 inches and it's going to break your detail section into multiple columns by splitting into 2 inches. Now if you see your preview, this is how it shows. So that's how you can create a mailing label report in Crystal, and you can reuse them while printing this on top of A4 size tickets. So that is about mailing label report. Any questions? No questions? So like this, using Crystal reports, you can build a report not only on enterprise data, even for local use purpose. We use local office purpose. We use these Crystal reports to see what are all inbox mails that you have, outbox mails that you have, and mailing labels. And apart from that, so purely system specific reporting that you can generate using Crystal reports, apart from enterprise data reporting. So that's why you have lot of connectivities in Crystal reports, wherein you can connect to a file, log files, mail access server, XML files, web services. So these are all other than database servers like what we have, Oracle, SQL Server, DB2. So these are all database server where you have the data inside a database. Apart from database data, it can also access file type data. and it can also generate a report that shows in a specific folder of a machine what are all the different files that you have, size, and all the information. So the basic use of Crystal report, the reason why they introduced is for the local system specific reporting purpose, and they expanded that reporting tool for enterprise level, and now it is data warehouse level. It can also connect to a data warehouse and it can pull the data, and it can also connect to a cube and it can pull the data into report. So any type of a reporting tool, not only for customer, so this is not only for customer specific, you can also use it for your local use as well. That's why they prefer to have this Crystal reports on a client machine, not through ad hoc wherein you cannot build a report, Crystal report through browser, because most of the options are system specific. That's the reason that you have to install Crystal reports on your machine to develop. So even if you don't have a business objects enterprise, still you can generate reports using Crystal, only Crystal Reports Designer, standalone. And make use of your applications like PHP, Java, .NET, and view these reports by embedding these reports in your code. That's it. You need not require business objects enterprise for that. It's not possible to create workbooks like how we did it in Web Intelligence, wherein you have multi-tabbed reports, right? So multi-tabbed reports are possible in Web Intelligence, wherein when you export that content, it's going to show multiple data and multiple sheets of your Excel. But here, you don't have an option of creating multi-tab reports. So whatever that you export, the content is going to be exported in a single sheet. Clear? Is that what you mean? You want an Excel sheet that shows multiple sheets, right? Each sheet is going to have a different data. Like how we have seen in Web Intelligence, we have report 1, report 2, report 3. And when you export to Excel, it shows multiple sheets. So that is possible in Web Intelligence, but in Crystal, whenever you export it, it's going to show the data in sheet 1 only. So you have one workaround in Crystal wherein you have a limitation of 65,500 records in Excel workbook, right? For each and every sheet, it cannot accommodate more than that. So if you have more than 65,000 data in your Crystal report while exporting, obviously the extra data, whatever that you have after 65,000, will be automatically moved to next sheet. So I need to do a lot of custom formatting in Crystal, but still you won't get 100% workbook like format like how you get it in Web Intelligence. So if you want to generate any workbooks, go for Webi report, because you know that it is not possible in Crystal. And apart from that, we use Crystal reports to generate telephone directories. You might have seen a lot of telephone directories. So those books, they'll generate using Crystal reports. So this is about Crystal. Just give me a second. Okay, so that is about mailing label reports, and we have one more, OLAP cube. We can also generate report on top of a cube file. So here we actually downloaded some sample database. Let me check where we have it. Okay, so this is along with extreme sample database. We also have one cube file, which is with an extension .cub. So let's see how it reads the cube file data or a cube data in Crystal reports, wherein you can directly connect to that file and you can grab the data. So here I'm gonna create new OLAP cube report. So OLAP cube is nothing but same as like how we use crosstab report, but wherein crosstab is two-dimensional, but this OLAP cube is multi-dimensional. So I have a cube file here. Select a cube. So this is AdventureWorks cube, wherein I have it in my SQL server. So this is not the cube that I'm talking about. Let me click on add. Close this, select car file in my desktop. Yep, even BW cube you can connect, but the cube what I'm showing here is not a BW cube, it's a SQL Server Analysis Services cube. It's unable to see that. 1 second. Select cube, open, click on add. There you go. Here you have analysis services. I'll use rather using a server. Oops. So this is server information, wherein if you want to provide server information, you'll be able to connect to a cube, what you have in SQL Server database. Excuse me. So you can provide the server information to connect to the AdventureWorks cube. So for example, let me show you where can you see the cubes in SQL Server. I'm opening SQL Server database. So here, whenever you try to log in into your database, you can either log in into database engine, or you have an option of selecting analysis services. So analysis services are something which are related to cubes at database level. Database engine is something related to two-dimensional tables in your database. Now here, under databases, you have AdventureWorks Data Warehouse, wherein in this data warehouse you have all dimension tables and fact tables, which are in the form of two-dimensional. Oops, so sorry. Can you see it now? So whenever you log in into your database, here I have one sample database called AdventureWorks Data Warehouse that consists of two-dimensional tables, which is dimension tables and fact tables. Okay. So using these two-dimensional tables, you can build cubes. So now I'm going to again connect to my database server, but this time, if you select database engine, it's going to contain all two-dimensional tables. But if you select analysis services, this is the place where we build cubes. By selecting these two-dimensional tables, on top of these two-dimensional tables, we create cubes. So let's see how the cube look like. See here I have Adventure Work Data Warehouse, which is making use of these two-dimensional tables to build your cube. I'll expand this cube. So here I have Adventure Works, and you'll be able to see what are all the groups that you have inside that cube file. So whatever that we do in Universe Designer, we can also do the same thing at database level, collecting all dimensions and facts and defining the relationship between them, which is going to form a star schema or a snowflake schema at database level itself. And we can directly connect to that cube to build your report, which doesn't require any Universe Designer to customize it. But the disadvantage with connecting to a cube is any changes that you want to do or any customization that you want to do, you will not be able to do it. You need to depend on database administrators, or if you're connecting to BW, you need to depend on BW developers. But if you are connecting to a two-dimensional relational connection to your database, then you have a complete control on these two-dimensional tables. You can define the relationship, you can create your own formulas, custom SQL, anything. You can make use of Universe Designer and build a cube at runtime. So that's why there is no use when you directly connect to a cube for generating reports on top of BW or SAP, SAP BW or SQL Server analysis services. So now here in Crystal Reports, I'm connecting to a cube file, which is a local file it is, and I'll browse through. I'll go for the directory where I have the file under downloads. This is my cube file. I'll open it and test the connection. So this is file type connection to my cube, wherein they have exported the data of a cube into an offline file, CUB file, which is not connected to a database, but which is a CUB file, an offline cube which is going to contain a data in it. And I'm going to name this as sales. So here, one connection I made it to SQL Server Analysis Services, which is going to show you the cubes directly from your database server. Another connection is an offline connection, which is connected to a file that comes along with the installation of your Crystal Reports, a sample sales report, which is an offline file, cube file. So I'm going to use this file, click on Open, and click on Next. As soon as you click on Next, so this shows the same as the wizard, which is a cross tab. So if you want to add, so these are all freestanding dimensions. If you want to add any more, you already have some dimensions, products and measures here. If you want to add anything more, you can add it and click on Next. And so slice and dice. So here this is multi-dimensional. You can always see all the values are specific values, whatever that you want, and the template, whatever that we have seen, like same as cross tab. So if you want to apply any template, you can, but I want to go ahead with the original template. Click on Finish. This is how it shows an OLAP grid. So this is not a cross tab. Remember, we call this as an OLAP grid. And if you want to see the detail level data, this is for all product sales information. Now if I expand this, it shows sub-level data. If I expand again a sub-level data, you'll be able to see sub-level. So like that, you will be able to expand, drill into multiple levels in your library. So these are all multi-dimensional drill down. If you want to collapse it, click on that, and click on that. So this is a lab grid report wherein it directly connected to your grid, and you'll be able to see the detail level information, whatever that you have in a queue. So apart from this type of a view, if you want to use those fields in your detail section separately in a different format, I don't want in the form of a cross tab. So I want to create my own output by connecting to that queue. Then open your Field Explorer and see what are all the fields that you can see after connecting to that file. See here, you have all measures, you have all products, so with different levels. What are all the levels that you have? And you have versions, week and year. So start adding all those values in your detail section and see what happens. So I'm going to unsuppress my detail section. I have added measure, and I'm going to add product level 0 and see the preview. Where is it? And let me add the least level value. Product level 4. See the preview. It shows at that level what information that you have. Product level 1. Still shows us department. I don't know why it shows this information, but whenever you want to get the different format other than a lab grid, so you can directly add it in your detail section. That's how we do it in SAP BW as well, and we can build the report. But here, when I add it into a detail section, it's showing only the header information, but not the actual data, whatever that it shows in the lab grid. So for the Q file, it always takes a lab grid as a source, and which is going to show you the detail level information. I think you must be having all this information maybe at the end of the page. Still don't have it. You have 64 pages data wherein it is repeating this margin and all products information again and again. All products is also one of the value, which is product level 0. And what is this? Product level 1. This is product level 2. So product level 1 should show the values. Let me expand a little bit more. I don't see anything here, but only in the lab grid it is showing the data. Excuse me. So this is how we can generate a report, but this is not same as how we generate on top of BEX queries or BW queries. And for this cube files, it's going to generate an MDX query. So you won't be able to see any SQL for this. See here, so show SQL is grayed out, which means whenever you connect to a cube, in the background, it's not going to generate SQL query to get the data. It's going to generate an MDX query to get the data. So whenever you connect to a cube, you're trying to open a cube file in a backend connectivity and read the content. So whatever that it executes, it is executing at the database level itself. It is not generating any SQL at crystal report level, remember. It's going to have an MDX query. Now let me create a new report by using analysis services connection what I have in my SQL server. Select cube, and this time I'll use cube what I have in AdventureWorks. Click on open. Now which group that you want? I want calendar year. On quarter. Click on OK. Next. Next. Finish. So this is in a connected mode, which is connected to a SQL Server analysis services, and you can see all the periods whatever that you have, and you can expand it on a quarter-wise. You'll be able to see the data. Now let me see if I use the same data in my detail section, if it shows the output. Show it. Database. Oh, we have a lot of classes here. Under date. Calendar year. Month level 1 data. Let me see the preview. There you go, it shows. So here you will be able to see the information wherein you have two types for each level, which is showing a description of that level and the value of that level. So whenever I drag the long string, it's showing an actual value, but year level 1, which is normal string, which is showing what label that it shows before you expand. Once you expand, it's going to show you the content what you have inside in it. That content is this field. At each and every level you have two fields. One is label and the other one is actual value. So which means even in the previous scenario, we could have dragged long string to see the data. Product long. Place it. See the preview. There you go. So like that, if you don't want OLAP grid format, you can directly place it in detail section and you can grab the data, whatever that you want, and then again you can apply group by, format it, whatever that you want, you can do it. Yeah. Any questions? So whenever you deal with OLAP cube data, so it's going to show you, see here, all products is just a label. Inside that label you have all this. Again, if you expand this, it shows more information. So for each and every level you have a header, and no, it's not the same procedure to connect to SAP BW. I have just shown you how do we connect to OLAP cube servers, and the connection whatever that I have shown you is for Hyperion and SQL Server. So whenever I go to new, OLAP cube report. Whenever you click on open or add, see here. So here you also have SAP BW. Yes, if you select this, you need to provide that information, and you can make a connection to SAP BW as well to see the cubes, what are all info areas that you have in BW. Yes, you can also add it here by using, so these are all supported: Hyperion, Microsoft Analysis Services, Microsoft OLEDB OLAP Services, and provide BW information. As soon as you connect, you will be able to see all the cubes like how you have seen in database. That is one way how we can connect to SAP BW. If you want to use OLAP Grid, okay, but if you don't want to use OLAP Grid, if you want to create a blank report, directly you want to grab the information of your BW into your detail section, then expand this connectivity and make sure that if it is in 3.1 2008 version, you need to install integration kit to your BW, then you will get a new connection called SAP BW query or SAP BW MDX query, which is for cubes, and this is BW query to connect. So expand this. It prompts you if you have SAP GUI installed on your machine. It shows list of SAP systems. So select one of the system, connect to your BW, grab the information. You'll get it into Field Explorer and do the same thing. Whatever the steps that we follow, so just drag and drop dimensions and measures what you want on top of your crystal, and you can build that. Clear? So here all the cubes are same, like how you have seen in AdventureWorks cubes. The same list of cubes you'll be able to see it on top of your BW. So whenever you see MDX, you are connecting to a cube. Whenever you see BW query, which are going to connect to a BEX queries. You have two types of information in BW. Either you can connect to a complete 100% cube, or on top of that cube you can create BEX queries, right? Specific information what you want from the cube. So that BEX query you can connect. So I've actually sent you a document that shows how you can connect to SAP BW, right? So go through that document in Crystal. It is pretty straightforward, and once you get the data, you can start formatting your report, how we do it in relational database connection. So that's all about Crystal reports, and let me quickly show you how do we connect to Universe and build our Crystal reports. So here you have Universe connection, expand this, and this time I'm going to select eFashion Universe and click on open, and as soon as you click on open, it's going to show you a query panel. And this query panel is not the same query panel what we see in Web Intelligence. You have a lot more options like inserting subqueries, combined queries. All those options are not available here. So this is pretty straightforward option wherein it just generates a query, and whatever the output that you get it, that output will be shown on top of your Crystal reports. That's it. Click on OK. Now it generated a query, and this query that I'm going to add it in my Crystal. Click on next. Those fields you'll be able to see it on top of your Crystal, and click on finish. It shows the output. Now for example, if I remove this quarter, it's not going to change like how it does it in Web Intelligence. Data will be same. It won't sum up for each and every year. So what you need to do is you need to insert a group on 2001 and insert a summary, subtotals of sales revenue to get that type of an output. So you can also connect to Universe Designer, build a query, whatever the query data that you get it, you capture it on top of your Crystal reports and then start formatting it. So that's how you can connect to file type data sources, you can connect to cube type data sources, and apart from that, you can also connect to Universe Designer, Business View Manager, XML files, Access file, anything. This is about Crystal reports. So I've given you a basic introduction of Crystal reports, what are all different types that you have, and where do you have what are all different options, formatting options that you have, where do we create formulas, variables, how do we create custom formulas and all those things. But you still have some functions wherein I can't provide you 100% functions information. You can make use of help and see each and every function use. So that you will come to know with your experience once you start working on Crystal reports, because you have lot of functions, more than 1000. So I've just given you an option where are all, what are all the formatting options that you have and what are all different types of report and each and every window what we have in Crystal reports, like Repository Explorer, Workbench, Field Explorer, and Report Explorer. So these are all main windows that we use while designing Crystal reports. And I've shown you how do we connect to Universe, how do we connect to a cube, how do we connect to a file, how do we connect to SQL Server database. And also we have seen business views connection. So these are all main connections that we see in real time. So in real time, we never connect to a file and generate a report. We don't do it in real time. Always in real time we deal with enterprise level data, database server connections like Oracle DB2, SAP BW. So these are all what we are going to use. But only for local office internal purpose, if you want to generate some reports, yes, you might need to use file type database connectivities. Any questions? So with this we are done with Crystal reports, but we left with one more concept called OpenDoc URL, which is common to any type of a report that we have in business objects. So in the next class we are going to discuss about OpenDoc URL, what is the use of OpenDoc URL, and how do we open one report, how can we jump from one report to the other report. I just want a hyperlink. If I click on that hyperlink, it should open another report which is stored in Business Objects Enterprise. The other report might be Crystal or webi or Excelsius, anything. I should be able to open it, jumping from one report to the other report. So that we are going to discuss in the next session, and after that OpenDoc URL will look into Excelsius dashboard reporting tool. Okay, and after dashboards we'll see admin part, how do we schedule the reports, how do we create users and security. With that, a complete Business Objects Enterprise training is done. So any questions so far what we discussed? So most of the people, they feel difficult to learn Crystal when you compare with Web Intelligence. I know that. The reason is you have many options in Crystal, but once you get used to Crystal, Crystal reports is very easier than Web Intelligence. And there should be some difficulty. Everyone knows Web Intelligence. If it is tough to learn, our competition is also less in the market, especially for Crystal reports. Everyone knows Web Intelligence, but not Crystal. Okay. So that's all about Crystal reports, and you have lot more advanced topics on Crystal reports. So you can actually search in Google. You'll get sample reports. So if you want to practice, I want you to regenerate the sample reports what we have in Business Objects Enterprise. For example, if you connect to our Business Objects Enterprise, I have shown you one sample report on calculated member, right? So I'm going to open. Here, in your info view, if you go to report samples, you have feature samples, calculated member, drill down report, grouping and sorting, interactive parameters. So try to open these reports in Crystal Report Designer and try to regenerate the same thing. Then you'll get more questions. Okay? So I want you to follow this folder and see each and every type of a report, regenerate same type of report manually from the scratch. Okay? So these are all very best examples what you have. Each and every report shows a specific property of your Crystal report. The name itself shows what property that it is defining in that sample report. So tomorrow we'll discuss about OpenDoc URL. So before we close, if you have any questions, you can ask me. How do we use monthly average values of an annual report in Web Intelligence? So this is where you need to go for calculation context, which I have provided you one document that shows function modules of Web Intelligence, that wherein you need to use calculation context. So if you want, I can take one more class which describes what exactly a calculation context means. Okay? So because that is more advanced, that's why I didn't touch it. But maybe tomorrow, if time permits, I'll show you what exactly a calculation context. How do we get monthly revenue information on yearly block? You have a block that shows yearly sales, but you want monthly information inside of it. How do we get that information? So all those things we'll discuss tomorrow. Okay? Sure. That is very important for doing any type of a calculation in Web Intelligence. Without that context operators, you cannot do a single calculation in Webi because it does automatic calculations, right? Anything that you want to do it of your own, then you need to use this calculation context. Thank you. So we'll discuss tomorrow then. Bye-bye.
The organizer has ended the session, and this